Well, as promised, our trusted voice this week is a guy who knows what it's like to be in the trenches in the NFL, literally, and come out the other end. My good friend and longtime co-worker at ESPN, Damien Woody. Damien, man, always good to talk to you. Appreciate you being with us. Before we get into anything else, I would just like to get your opinion on Spitgate. Before we go anywhere else, here's my thought process on it. Once you spit on somebody, that's it. You're done, right? I mean, that's the obvious thing in the world. Then people are like, oh, Dak spit first. I'm like, hold on a minute. There is a world of difference between spitting in the direction of someone and then spitting on someone. I mean, let's just be. I mean, I hear, ooh, the plot thickens. No, the plot actually didn't thicken. It got thinner. One guy spit on somebody and the other guy didn't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I've always said like spitting on someone is the ultimate disrespect that you could do to a person. That's a I give Dak a lot of credit for being composed because I know if someone spit on me, like we would be in a fisticuff. But the one thing about sports and football in particular, it's always the second person who gets caught. So regardless if everyone was talking about, well, look what Dak did. Okay, first of all, he spat at the ground. But
Right.
two, it's always the retaliatory, action. Those are the guys that get caught. And so he has to be more mature and better than that.
Yeah. Well, that's why Jalen fell to the Eagles where he fell in that round because there were
Yes.
questions. There's no doubt he can play. There's no doubt he's dominant. That was the issue with him. So all that being aside, because we'll find something else to be wildly upset about in the next 30 minutes. Let's take a broader picture. Did this game to start the season tell you more about Dallas, or did it tell you more about Philadelphia?
It told me more about Dallas, to be honest with you. I was extremely impressed with Dallas in this game for a variety of reasons. I thought, first of all, I thought Dak Prescott looked phenomenal in the game.
Yeah.
Just the way he moved, obviously coming off that hamstring tear where he had surgery and insert screw in his hamstring. I thought he moved extremely well. He was very accurate. He seemed like he was in command. I love the way that Brian Schottenheimer called the offense. You immediately saw the changes that they were making offensively. A lot more motion and things, eye candy on offense. Thought the offensive line played well. Obviously, with Jalen Carter not being there, it makes a difference. But even still, I thought the offensive line played well. They ran the ball. Listen, the CD Lamb dropping three balls. That's just
Brutal.
not that. It's brutal, no question. But if he had made those catches, we'd probably be talking about something totally different. But I don't foresee CD Lamb having a game like that, for the rest of the season. But between that, but Trey, I'm gonna tell you the thing that I was the most impressed with. It was the adjustment at halftime defensively. I thought from the Cowboys. I mean, the Eagles ran for over 100 yards in the first half. I think in the second half they had like 32 rushing yards. Like they really made a defensive adjustment in the second half that really helped contain Jalen Hurts. And to me, for a rookie head coach and this new staff, like those are the things I pick up on is like, how do you adjust during game? Because usually that's the difference between good teams and bad teams, in-game adjustment. So I was really thrilled with what I saw from the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, Brian was an assistant with the Jets when you were there, right?
Correct. He was my offensive coordinator when I was with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I've told this story before, but I'd love to get your opinion on it. I remember when he was with the Jets, he actually came up to NFL Live one day and sat with us in a meeting. Like he took a time out of his day, and time for a coach in the NFL is a precious commodity.
Yeah.
And he took a full day off to drive up from Florham Park, come up, sit in with us at our meeting at 9 a.m., go through the entire day with us, watch how we put the show on, and then watch the show together, and then ask questions after it and left. And I have no idea whether Brian's going to be a good head coach or not. I thought it was promising in what we saw, like you said, out of him in that game. But I took away from that guy understands the value of preparation and understanding different perspectives. Is that something you noticed from him when you played for him?
Well, absolutely. And the one thing that obviously for a lot of people out there, he's a son of a coach and Marty Schottenheimer. And so he was a guy that grew up in the game. He's been around the game. And listen, a lot of that has to do with the fact that his father is Marty Schottenheimer, the coach for that coached in the National Football League for a long time. Been around football. It's in his DNA. It doesn't surprise me at all that Brian, when he came up to Bristol, was a astute person that really took his time out and took a lot of copious notes, as I like to say.
Yeah. All right. So if that's what you learned about the Cowboys, did you see anything in that game that have you concerned about Philadelphia? Because they were the consensus favorite to probably, hopefully represent the NFC again for a second straight year in the Super Bowl. They were returning a lot of players, but they lost a lot of players on defense. Was there something in that game that made you go, well, this may not go as easy as we think for Philly in 2025?
Well, I think the glaring thing was the number two cornerback. Opposite Quinion Mitchell. That you can clearly see Dallas was attacking, Adoree Jackson and everyone else who came after Adoree Jackson. So I think for Philadelphia, it's going to be a situation where they got to figure out the number two cornerback spot. And listen, you got some time here in the early part of the regular season, but that and I thought the pass rush wasn't as great early on. Now they started to bring pressure in the second half, but I thought in the first half they really couldn't get to Dak Prescott like that. So I think between the pass rush and the number two cornerback, those are areas that they need to work on.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. The other thing that I took away, and and again, I've been pounding this drum for a while. While they ran for 150 plus yards as a team, 17 carries, 61 yards for Saquon Barkley. And I have
Hmm.
said all along, the year after a 2,000-yard season, there is a precipitous drop. He was just gashing people left and right last season.
Hmm.
And now we see the first game, and it's a very, very pedestrian effort against a team who apparently had a terrible run defense last year. That's the one thing Jerry Jones got right in the whole Micah Parsons thing, which we can have that discussion if you want. But you'd think, okay, if there was ever a moment where Saquon was going to come out firing, because the reality of this is, Damien, Thursday night was as good as Saquon's probably going to feel all year. And it was 17 carries for 61 yards at home against a team that has had their issues with run defense. What level of alarm does that raise for you?
Um, it is alarming, and here's why it matters because the Philadelphia Eagles are a run first team.
Yeah,
Okay, they're not like AJ Brown didn't even get a target until I believe like the fourth quarter.
yeah.
Like this is not you're not going to ask Jalen Hurts to go out there and sling the ball around like Joe Burrow. That's just not how the Philadelphia Eagles are built. They're built to be run first, and so if they're not able to establish a line of scrimmage and run the football with Saquon Barkley, and it has to fall on Jalen Hurts to throw the ball all over the place, that's not the recipe for success for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, and to that point about A.J. Brown not getting targeted until the fourth quarter, there was a point last year where it was very obvious that A.J. was upset about this situation. And everyone was
Hmm.
like, who cares? They're winning. It's Saquon Barkley. Well, now in week one, it wasn't Saquon Barkley. They had to squeak by a Dallas team at home, in which notoriously has been a really successful thing for the defending Super Bowl champs over the years. And Jahan Dotson and not A.J. Brown was the primary threat at wide receiver. Do you think in your mind that's a tribute to what the Dallas Cowboys did defensively? Or are we going to see down the road here that level of frustration maybe boil over again between A.J., the play calling, because once again, a new play caller this year in Philadelphia, and Jalen Hurts?
Listen, I could see this thing at some point this year if it continues to, be this way like it was in week one, being an issue because we know how wide receivers are. Like, there's only so much of the quote unquote good soldier that I'm going to be until the offense is not what it was last year and they're having a hard time throwing the ball. Then that's when things will start boiling over. So if this run game doesn't come into its own to set up those deep, play action passes down the field, It's going to be a problem in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and we'll see how Nick Sirianni handles that. There were some moments last year before they just decided to go all in on the Saquon train that we were like, all right, what are we seeing here? Hey, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. You take it. They have a lot of time to work on it for week 2, and then we'll see what happens going forward.